The broadcast opens in chaos. Stephen Miller once again tries to seize control of the conversation with his trademark aggression. His voice cuts sharply across the host's introduction, drowning out the flow of the panel. Viewers barely have time to understand the topic before Miller jumps in with a barrage of phrases about betrayal, patriotism, and the so-called corruption of his opponents. He interrupts with such force that even the moderator struggles to restore order. But Jasmine Crockett does not flinch. She leans into her microphone and fires back instantly. Miller's interruption, intended to dominate the air, instead sets the stage for a confrontation that no one will forget. Crockett's voice slices through the noise with clarity and precision. She refuses to be sidelined, declaring that no amount of shouting will erase the truth. The studio grows tense as the clash becomes the centerpiece of the broadcast. Audiences watching from home sense that something extraordinary is about to unfold. Every second is electrified. Miller's strategy is obvious: overwhelm his opponent, throw her off balance, and capture the headlines by sheer volume. But Crockett is prepared. Her opening response flips his attack on its head. She reminds everyone that interruptions are the last refuge of someone who fears the facts. The crowd reacts audibly, some gasping, others clapping in approval. The hook of the night is sealed, a battle of voices where one seeks to bully and the other seeks to expose. Crockett's tone is measured yet fierce. She makes it clear that she has no intention of letting Miller dictate the tempo. "You've tried this before," she says, her words echoing through the set. "And it didn't work then, and it won't work now." The line resonates like a warning shot, signaling that she is ready for whatever he throws next. Viewers across the nation lean closer to their screens, knowing they are about to witness a live confrontation that could redefine the conversation. The opening clash grips the panel, the audience, and the wider public instantly. Commentators will later call it the spark that ignited one of the most dramatic exchanges ever seen on live television. The debate takes place in a primetime studio, the kind of setting where every word is amplified and every slip is replayed endlessly. The panel has gathered to dissect the latest controversies surrounding Donald Trump, the influence of his inner circle, and the future of the Republican Party. The audience expects fireworks, but no one could predict the intensity that Miller and Crockett would unleash. Stephen Miller, a former senior advisor known for his combative style, enters the discussion with the same fire he once carried into the White House briefing room. His reputation is built on aggressive rhetoric, sharp interjections, and relentless attempts to dominate the narrative. For his supporters, he is a warrior defending America from what he calls weakness and betrayal. For his critics, he embodies arrogance and extremism, a man who thrives on silencing opposition rather than debating it. Facing him is Jasmine Crockett, a rising star in Congress whose sharp tongue and fearless energy have already turned her into a viral figure. She has clashed with seasoned opponents before, but Miller presents a unique challenge, not just because of his status as a Trump loyalist, but because of his constant interruptions and attempts to derail her arguments. Crockett is fully aware that his goal is not dialogue, but domination. She is determined to prove that facts and conviction can cut through even the loudest noise. The other panelists, political strategists, commentators, and a visibly strained moderator, become background figures in what quickly turns into a duel. The spotlight narrows onto Miller and Crockett, each representing more than just themselves. Miller stands as the voice of Trump's enduring influence, carrying with him the weight of years of polarizing policies and culture wars. Crockett represents a new generation, unafraid to challenge entrenched power, unafraid to speak bluntly, and unwilling to let bullying tactics dictate the tone of political discourse. The audience in the studio feels the stakes rise with every exchange. Cameras zoom tighter, microphones pick up every breath, and the tension thickens. To viewers at home, the clash becomes symbolic. Old guard versus rising voice, aggression versus resilience, noise versus truth. And as the context unfolds, it becomes clear that this confrontation is not just about two individuals, but about the direction of the nation's political conversation itself. As the discussion deepens, Stephen Miller seizes every opportunity to disrupt. Each time Jasmine Crockett begins a point, Miller cuts across her words, raising his voice to claim that Democrats are destroying America, that policies of inclusion are weakening the nation, that only hardline measures can save the country. His tone grows sharper, almost frantic, as though volume alone can erase her arguments. But Crockett refuses to be drowned out. She speaks with unwavering control, striking back with facts that Miller cannot ignore. She cites voting records, court rulings, and documented statements that expose the contradictions in his claims. Every time Miller interrupts, she pivots, transforming his aggression into openings for her rebuttals. At one point, Miller bellows, "You don't understand what's at stake. Our borders, our security, our sovereignty, all collapsing under your party's failures." His words hang in the air like a challenge. Crockett immediately counters, "What's collapsing is your credibility, Stephen. You keep shouting about borders while ignoring that your own policies created humanitarian crises. You're not protecting America, you're protecting a failed narrative." The studio erupts in murmurs. The moderator tries to restore order, but the duel has already consumed the broadcast. Miller doubles down, accusing Crockett of spreading lies and manipulating facts. She does not retreat. Instead, she strikes harder, reminding him that interruptions are the refuge of someone afraid to answer directly. "If you had truth on your side," she fires back, "you wouldn't need to shout me down. You'd let the facts speak for themselves." Miller's face tightens as the pressure builds. He hurls accusations about corruption, foreign influence, and so-called radical agendas. Crockett dismantles them one by one, her responses sharp and concise. She does not let him claim victory through noise. Instead, she turns his interruptions into proof of his weakness. The clash becomes so fierce that even seasoned commentators on the panel sit in stunned silence, watching as Crockett carves through his arguments with precision. The audience at home can feel the balance shifting. What began as Miller's attempt to dominate has transformed into Crockett's arena. With each rebuttal, she reclaims more ground, leaving Miller scrambling to regain the upper hand. The momentum is no longer his. It belongs to her, and everyone watching knows it. The tension reaches its peak when Stephen Miller lunges into yet another interruption, his voice rising above everyone else on set. He declares, "This is why America is failing. People like you refusing to face the truth." He leans forward, almost shouting into the microphone, determined to silence Jasmine Crockett once and for all. But this time, she doesn't wait. She doesn't yield. She cuts him off mid-sentence with a line so sharp, so devastating that the entire studio falls silent. Her voice, steady and unflinching, slices through his outburst. "Stephen, the only thing failing here is your ability to defend a lie without shouting. And let me be crystal clear. Your interruptions don't make you strong. They just prove you're terrified of what I'm saying." The words detonate across the set like a thunderclap. Miller freezes, his mouth still half open, unable to fire back. The panelists exchange stunned glances, the moderator's eyes widen, and the audience gasps audibly. For a moment, the chaos evaporates, replaced by a silence heavier than any shouting match could ever produce. Crockett leans in further, her final strike delivered with calm force. "You can scream, you can interrupt, you can throw every insult you want, but at the end of the day, the facts stand. And tonight, Stephen, you've been shattered by them in front of the entire nation." The impact is immediate. The live broadcast feels like it has stopped breathing. Miller, known for never backing down, sits momentarily stunned, his usual fire extinguished by a single, cutting truth. Cameras capture his struggle to recover, but the damage is already done. The comeback has landed, and it is final. Across social media, clips of her words begin to spread instantly. Hashtags explode, captions repeat her lines verbatim, and commentators rush to label it the knockout moment of the debate. Viewers at home replay the clip, sharing it as proof that Miller's strategy of aggression has finally met its match. The climax has been delivered. Crockett's final comeback has not only silenced Miller, it has rewritten the night, turning what he intended as dominance into the very stage for his undoing. The moderator, sensing the shift, tries to steer the conversation back to neutral ground, but it is already too late. The defining moment has passed, and it belongs entirely to Jasmine Crockett. The energy in the studio has changed. Even those who came prepared to spar can feel that Miller's dominance has crumbled. As the program winds down, Crockett delivers her closing words with calm authority. Tonight proves something important. Loud voices don't equal strong arguments. Shouting doesn't make lies true. And no interruption can erase the fact that the American people deserve honesty, not theatrics. The audience breaks into applause, some even rising to their feet. Miller attempts one final protest, but his words stumble and fade, overshadowed by the force of Crockett's finale. His interruptions, once the weapon he wielded with pride, have become symbols of defeat. Commentators immediately seize on the drama. Some describe the moment as a political knockout. Others call it a lesson in how truth outlasts noise. Social media platforms erupt with endless replays of her final comeback. Memes, hashtags, and instant headlines paint the confrontation as the night Stephen Miller was publicly dismantled by Jasmine Crockett. In the days that follow, the exchange dominates the news cycle. Supporters of Crockett hail her as a fearless defender of truth, someone unafraid to stare down a seasoned political operator and leave him speechless. Miller's loyalists scramble to spin the narrative, but the clip of his stunned silence is replayed endlessly, undoing every defense. The final message rings clear across the nation. Interruption without substance is weakness, and truth, spoken with courage, will always cut deeper than noise. Jasmine Crockett's last words hang in the air long after the cameras stop rolling, a reminder that power belongs not to the loudest voice, but to the voice that refuses to be silenced. The broadcast ends, but the impact lingers. For viewers, the night is not just another debate. It is a turning point, a moment when clarity triumphed over chaos, and when a single line shattered the myth of invincibility surrounding Stephen Miller.